I'm a senior associate with PwC, the ESG Sustainability and Climate Change team. And I'm actually very interested in seeing how the conversations here can help us to shape our sustainability ambition, especially to oil and gas clients.
We're an existing client of MudoZangl and currently reaping the benefits of the noobyia platform, although not to the fullest extent possible, but looking at opportunities to see how we can grow that usage, derive more value from it. We're an expanding business right now, so there's a lot that's going on across all of our various facets and assets. So being able to coordinate all those activities, those resource requirements is becoming more and more key and a priority now, so that we can optimize resources. I think part of the issues that businesses have is trying to ensure that they have the right resources in place to manage. And sometimes the easiest response is we need to throw more bodies as opposed to finding more smarter ways of approaching it. So looking forward to seeing what noobyia further has to offer, especially around integrated activity planning. That's a key interest for us, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
MudoZangl, they brought to life a dream I had, right? So coming into the gas space, we still had to run all our business on spreadsheets and all, and then it can be really crazy. Nominations, allocations, gas quality stuff, what have you, was all being done manually. And it was conceptualized, and then MudoZangl brought that to life. And I would say today, I'm a very happy customer, very happy, very proud. You had a preacher here, right? For MudoZangl noobyia solutions. The solution is fantastic. It doesn't fail. It always answers whenever you call. You also did the carbon management for us in Seplat, and we're also happy with that. So I'm here today to see what other models or whatever solutions you have to provide, because it's really very exciting to work with MudoZangl. And this is the computer age. We are moving into more tech solutions. So let's see what other tech solutions you have to provide, especially for us at Seplat, as we continue to expand the gas business.
I've been a MudoZangl proponent from day one. And as Chinyere said, the solutions, because I don't focus just on the IGM, I'm also involved with IAP and the greenhouse gas solutions. So it's been a fantastic ride, and I'm looking forward to today's session.
But Anota is extremely busy, and these are some of the signs you get in the company. When you have an office dedicated to technology, it's a good sign. So when we were starting off as a company, we were very deliberate about the companies we wanted to work for, to work with. And for us, Seplat was up there, and we really wanted to work with them because we knew they would go places. And if we can attach ourselves to them at their coattails, hopefully they will carry us along. And then so far, I'm happy that at least the journey has been relatively in the right direction. Yeah? And along with that, continue.
I'm a consultant with Arade Holdings. I'm working on the integrated activity planning processes, and the intention is to ensure that noobyia tool from MudoZangl is effectively adopted within the organization. I can only adopt a tool when the right processes are in place. So that's where we are now, and that's what we hope to achieve in a very near future, so that next time we'll be able to give similar testimonies as we are around the group.
MudoZangl, I guess the branding guy decided that it has to be a reflection of the personalities behind the company. And that is where the Mudo comes from, as for my name, I'm Mudo, and Zangl from him. And that's where the name came from. So just in case you are wondering. And as for noobyia, noobyia speaks to the richness of the African culture. There's a tribe called Nubia in Africa that's extremely rich. And we are kind of honoring the wealth of this tribe or this community, and that's where the name noobyia came from. So why us? I know it's not because of the name, but rather I will speak to our unique selling point. And this is very important because I say this because too often when we're on your side, we buy a software, you pay maintenance, and that is it. That's all you expect, and they can deal with the challenges as you deem fit. For us, we think there's a gap, and to address that gap, you always need a technology, but additionally, you need domain expertise. And our domain expertise are worldwide. So some of these domain expertise we introduced to you are full-time domain experts, who are seeing here. But beyond this, we have domain experts on part-time. We call them out if it's necessary, and we've done that a lot of times. That's why people are very surprised when they see us doing things in banking sector, in our agro industry, and so on and so forth. Because you have experts worldwide, and we develop a platform that allows us to work remotely from anywhere in the world. And we call that hybrid intelligence. And one of my regrets is that when we first named this hybrid intelligence, if you Google hybrid intelligence, it won't sit on the web. But today, when you Google it, there's a reflection of that. So unfortunately, we didn't trademark or patent whatever it is. So now if I say we first came up with hybrid intelligence, nobody believes us. But that's life. But we've learned from that now. All right? So at the end of the day, we don't want to be seen, or we are not a software company. We don't provide software as a service. Rather, we provide solution as a service because we know your problems are going to evolve, they're going to change, and you will necessarily require these solutions to move with you. And that is why when Chiri talks about when they call us, we pick up all the time, it is a fact. So there are 3 established technologies we are using. It's not magic. One of them is the database, and we've talked about data. Then we use the cloud infrastructure extensively, and then what we call microservices. I'm very old-fashioned. The only analogy I have is subroutines. Those days when we were doing a Fortran, so you have a small program that can do a tiny thing, and then you combine it with something, another program, another subroutine that can do other things. So that's the layman's explanation of microservice. So basically, it can provide a particular service for you, but when you combine it with other things, it can solve a different problem. And that is why we're able to do things very fast, because we have a whole bunch of microservices that we have developed or that are open source, that when you tell us your problem, we understand it, we're able to bring this together very, very quickly and give you a minimum viable product in a very short space of time.
We know that clients pay a lot of money for maybe 80% or 90% of the solution they really need. And you're happy, you start working with it, and suddenly you experience a blocker. Oh, cannot do that, right? And then, but you have been going on for so far already that you cannot or you don't want to switch. So this was one of the reasons and the motivations to create this hybrid intelligence approach. Because we said, no, you need to have a domain expert on your side who is helping you to overcome that blocker. So if we look at what we have, is I think the biggest chunk of data that can be generated in the oil and gas business are seismic data. So you have some terabytes probably, right? But you do this with a seismic study, with a seismic acquisition event once every few years. When you measure the real-time, or you capture the real-time data of drilling, which actually nobody uses the right way, you would have probably a few gigabytes per day too. But when you look at that, compared to what big social companies use per day or create on data per day, Airbnb, 20 terabyte per day. Uber, 1,500 plus terabyte per day. Then I hope I get the right button. Google, Facebook, 4 petabyte per day. Right? I mean, this is insane. What we really need for working is a hydrocarbon accounting system, probably 100 kilobyte per day. That's what we really need. So, this industry has struggling with big data for a long time, and I think the answer is because we don't need it. How about scalability? Also, scalability was extremely important, because we don't want to run into a situation where the disk is full. I don't know if you had this on your computer. We're using a lot of virtual machines, and permanently I have this problem that disk is full. cannot happen. Database also cannot happen. You have to be able to scale it in seconds, and this is what the cloud environment gives us. So with the cloud environment, we have, for instance, a preferred web server. Now, let's say we add half of Nigeria to Nubia, which we could do tomorrow, but the hardware could not do that. So we can easily either, first we can scale up that machine in minutes, or actually seconds, or we can also add more machines. So it's basically endless capabilities we have, which the cloud environment is providing. That's also why we went to Amazon. It's very straightforward. It's all based on Linux. And in front, there's a load balancer, which is handling the requests. And there are rules to which server these requests are then sent. Let's say this server is busy because one client is loading a huge activity Gantt chart, and the server is busy for a few seconds, like 5-10 seconds. The next user is guided to the next server, right? Which has the same system. And for the databases, we are actually using Amazon's Aurora cluster, where, and this is also important, we have single tenant databases. We are not mixing up your data with anybody else. You have a single entity database with, and like this is part of security too, right? With there is no other company that could ever see your data. It's not possible. They're on the same server, but that's also why, when we set up Nubia, it takes maybe 2-3 days, because everything is set up in a separate environment for each client. We're not mixing up any data at all. A quick one. This is the, I hope you see it. It's not important. It's 100%. This is our server. You see, that server has like not even half of the working memory than my laptop has, because it's not needed. It has 2 CPUs. How many have you? 16? Whatever. 4, 2, 6, 8, whatever. Yeah, we don't need that. And you see, here's 100%, and this is the CPU consumption. So you have a peak. Maybe that peak is like 25,000 records calculating, writing. It's like this. Because we forgot nowadays how fast computers are. We're just throwing everything at them kind of in a stupid way. Remember this unstructured data, and it takes a long time. But if you use a smart data model, it's amazing how many calculations the computer can do in a second. Yeah. So the main delay is usually writing to the database, right? Because databases are slower than CPUs.
So basically, how does business plan start? Business plan sometimes starts from the bottom up, where you build up from the bottom or from the top. So, but most of the time, you'll find most organizations is usually from the top to down. So where the corporate define what are the main driver for a business plan, which is the KPI, and also use the opportunity to also provide the business plan premise. So from all the interactions with so many organizations that we've worked with, there have been several learnings, and some of the key challenges from those interactions have shown that when it comes to business planning, there are some key challenges, which basically is common to most business planning. One, for instance, the ability to integrate across several projects. You'll find that you have different departments, but each of those departments end up having their business plans. So what you need a platform that can integrate that across, because sometimes you have some other challenges with types in terms of resource sharing. So you have cases where you have to now share a common resources. For instance, maybe in a case where you have to go to the field. So you have various contractors coming to the field, but you have a constraint in terms of the personnel on board. So you must be able to do that. So one thing that in building the business plan, you allow the various units to come up with their plan unconstrained. So which I'll talk about under the initiation, unconstrained plan. The other key challenge area again has to do with change management. I remember my experience in Shell. So when we build the business plan and then there's a break where maybe it coincides because typically the business planning starts sometime in Q1. By April, May, most of the leaderships go on vacation. And when everybody comes back, nobody recognizes the plan because there have been some changes and there are no records of the changes. So no version controls. So you end up starting the whole process. So you got to a point, the leadership said, no, the moment everybody is going on vacation, no more input, no more submission to the business plan. That's how it is frozen. And then when we come back, you pick up from that. So it's a major area for changes there. You also have the interdependency between projects. So you'll find projects which have some relationship, but because they're in different sectors or different departments, so when updates are made, it's not reflected in the other projects. Or a case where you go for a review, a management review, decisions were taken, and then there's no playback. So you'll find that you lose that connectivity or that interdependency in those plans. So the benefit of all this again is that year in, year out, some of your action after action reviews, you also can store them in noobyia, in one of our solutions, which is the knowledge base, where you have talked about unstructured data. You can store all those unstructured data, reviews and discussion, which may give you a foundation for the future in such that the whole system is already AI enabled. So with that, you can have a look back into your knowledge base, check all that stuff to improve the robustness of your business plan going forward. So you'll find in summary, the noobyia IAP solution is a solution that is unique. You're able to now integrate or unify all your business planning. You'll find that various business plan, you have the short-time business plan, which is the 90 days business plan. You have the 30 days, you have the 2 years, and you have the whole full business plan, 5 years, 10 years. All that will sit in one single platform. And then you're able to move them to various ones. So which Chinedu will also demonstrate. So like I said, this is one of our solutions which is very unique in the ability to be able to integrate across various business planning window, integrate across various projects, with utilizations of resources, and also to track actions.
I'm going to be discussing some of the challenges, right, with integrated planning and what we've done in noobyia to help corporate planners solve those challenges, right? Because what we've done is over the years, this solution has been there. We've deployed it to various clients. We've improved upon it, and we are still looking for more areas of improvement. So we're going to make this a very interactive session. I'll just go through a couple of slides pointing major challenges and what the platform has to offer in solving those challenges. And then I'm open to do a detailed demo if you're interested in seeing that detailed demo. So just like Halim said, right, planning has moved from the traditional planning in silos where you have different functions carrying out their plans and doing things independently. But at the end of the day, we've realized that you really need to integrate in order to achieve your corporate goals. And that's where the corporate planners come in. It's really a nightmare for corporate planners because you're dealing with different functions that are doing their things independently and could be using different software solutions, right? How do you come in and aggregate those plans and optimize on those plans? noobyia is so effective in the sense that we are able to integrate with different planning software solutions. So basically, just like Chidi said, we are not a software company, we are more of a solutions-driven company. So imagine you have your facilities team that use their Primavera P6, they do their detailed planning, just like you were referring to, right? You have, say, petroleum engineering doing their planning in Excel spreadsheets, good old Excel, everybody loves Excel. And then let's say you have your drilling team, for instance, and they're using their Microsoft projects. How does the corporate planner bring all of this into a unified plan and optimize on the resources of the organization? Knowing that the resources are limited, you don't have limitless resources. You don't want a situation where, for instance, the drilling team needs a crane and they don't know that the operations team actually has a crane. They are not aware of some certain contracts that are existing, right? So we're looking at a situation where, as an organization, you can leverage on all those resources and be able to optimize on your resources in doing your planning. So with Nubia, you're able to bring in those plans, be it in Primavera P6, be it in good old Excel, be it a Microsoft project, or even build your Gantt and your schedules within Nubia. And Nubia is so beautiful in the sense that you're able to aggregate those plans, all your functional plans, you're able to aggregate them seamlessly without issues, tied to your corporate goals, and the interdependencies between those corporate plans, you're able to do that within Nubia. Say, for instance, you have your drilling taking place, but then you know that for that well to come on stream, you're going to hook it up through a flow line. And that flow line is another project carried out by the facilities team. It's integrated in the sense that, let's say this is your facilities flow line project, and you know that by this time you're done with your well, you're able to connect it seamlessly to that activity sitting within another function. And here you're able to optimize resources. In here, you can see that you have a red color showing, right? What this just shows is you're able to highlight all those areas where you have your resource overloads. Now, you sit down collaboratively as an organization to see if you need to bring in more resources or do you need to move things around to optimize the usage of those resources. And that's where we're also bringing the stochastic Bayesian network, which is what we're working on, right? In such a way that rather than manually moving things around, you can actually optimize that schedule within the limitations and the constraints that exist within the organization. So you aggregate your plans, you look at the interdependencies between them, and ultimately optimize those resources to be able to track how you're utilizing those resources. We have beautiful dashboards that are highly interactive. So look at it as a situation where top management wants to have an idea of the resources deployed across the organization, right? You're able to do that. And with this dashboard, you're able to see both time-based resources as well as material-based resources, and further into material time-based resources. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's say you have rooms, for instance, right? You want to know the number of rooms that you want to deploy. But however, those rooms, different numbers of rooms are available at different times. So you're looking at that material, but you're looking at what is available at that time. So we've optimized this in such a way that both your time-based resources as well as your material resources, looking at the time when those materials will also be available. And you're looking at it on the corporate level and optimizing it seamlessly.
Go into the topics. My credibility to talk about that topic is that I started with AI, my first neural network in 1996. And I wrote a book, which that time we called data mining, because that's the predecessor of data science, more or less. We have applied a lot of neural networks, and then suddenly OpenAI came with the ChatGPT. So what we did until then is we used neural networks with the brain capacity of a leech, right? I think a leech doesn't even have a brain, but it has about 100 to 200 neurons, maximum 1,000 neurons, and that's what we used in our neural networks. Now things have changed dramatically, but even though this looks really impressive, everything is based on very, very simple mathematical equations and on a few concepts. So AI is not magic. AI is just, thanks to powerful computers, doing things very quickly. Basically, AI is machine learning, or machine learning is the core of AI. And in machine learning, you have two different kinds of learning, which is the supervised learning and the unsupervised learning. Why is that important? Because supervised learning needs to be evaluated and has an error function that is minimized in the best case. And that is used for recursion and classification tasks. And then you have unsupervised learning, which is more my thing, because it's you just throw it at something and it comes and has an error function that is minimized in the best case. And that is used for regression and classification tasks. And then you have unsupervised learning, which is more my thing, because it's you just throw it at something and it comes back with an answer. Throwing it at something means clustering or association, or just reduction of dimensionalities, right? So the difference is that this one needs a lot of iteration to learn something, versus this one is just based on some attributes of your data set, just distributing it into or putting it into bins. The second one is actually very stable and very easy to do and does not require a lot of computing efforts. The first one with the iteration does, right? And this is the thing that we have, this reinforcement learning and deep learning. You might have heard about that too. Reinforcement learning means that you take a supervised trained model and you train it again, but you steer the outcome to remove some errors. And deep learning means that you couple these neural network models in a chain or in a network, and you have more than one of these models. So one model gives the input to the next model. Yeah? So that is basically what it is. These neural network models, they're called backpropagation models, will have a short look how they work, and you will see how simple that is. Before I go there, the definition of AI, right? As I said, it's the broader definition is artificial intelligence, and I would say also my beloved Bayesian belief networks are part of AI. But machine learning is the bigger definition, and the deep learning and the LLMs are really special cases of AI.
There are 5 key features in any cloud management tool that you're looking out for. The first one is you have to be able to track, calculate and track scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. You have to be able to automate data and integrate them into the system. That's very important because most of the data are very, very messy. So you need to be able to do that. You have to be able to do some analytics and some reporting. That's also very essential. Decarbonization pathway, people are not talking about just don't tell me how much you're emitting, show me how you're going to reduce it and get to net zero potentially, and how quickly. Then more than any other thing, the framework for regulation keeps evolving, keeps changing. You have to comply because it's now becoming a license to operate issue. These are the 5 main features that you always look out for in any software you want to buy when it comes to greenhouse emissions accounting system. The good news is that we do have all of these basic elements, right? They are well within the noobyia platform. But more than that, there is something we have that is extremely very relevant, and that is time and location dependent emissions factor library. which allows it to recalculate historical emissions if the numbers that you allocated changes, so that's a very powerful tool. The other thing is that for many of you that are operating in different parts of the world, there is need for you to comply with different jurisdictions and to ensure consistency around it. That also can be done with this. There's scenario analysis, which is essential for your decarbonization strategy, is also available. The calculating some kind of financial metrics and KPI is also in there. Going forward, we are building out the Scope 3 app as a standalone, which is my Scope 1 is your Scope 3 and vice versa, something like that. So that's going to be a standalone, but also going to be embedded within noobyia for our existing clients. So somebody like Stanbic now that has maybe about 4,000 potential we are bringing in, they can just download the app, for example, and then they can feed the data straight into your system, right? So that's going to be that. Then another thing we are very much on is the carbon credit trading desk, because at the end of the day, it's a carbon economy. And if you can make money out of it, it's going to incentivize people to do it. So being able to create a carbon credit trading desk as part of it is something that is of definite interest. ESG reporting and environmental waste. We are somewhere along the line with environmental waste, but we've not really paid a lot of attention to it, except the client says they need it. There are a lot of environmental solutions out there, so it's not something that we are really pushing. But if a client says they need it and they want us to do it, I think that's one of our partners who might end up building into the system just because of them. And then for ESG reporting, there are also a lot of ESG reporting there. The only frustration with ESG is that sometimes the data you need from your account management tool, if it's transferred manually, sometimes people can make a mistake and report the wrong numbers. So if it's possible for us, if we get it, the right partner or right client or whatever it is, we can easily bring this into the system so that everything is seamless from beginning till the end. So those are the potential areas. But in terms of commitment, we've committed to the standalone app. We have gone very far into this, but we've not moved until, of course, you see somebody that says, do it, then we'll complete the leg. But for now, we are not going to do it. The standalone Scope 3 app, we are doing that. That one is definitely going to be released in this second quarter, definitely. The carbon credit trading desk is something that we have conceptualized. We know what we want to do. We have a lot of the functionalities ready to go, but we don't build solutions for building's sake, right? There has to be somebody who says, I want it or I need it, right? Then we'll complete it. The ESG reporting, there are a lot of players in that space, right? So there's not a really setting for us to, I'm not sure I'm going to do anything that's going to be very different from what others are selling, right? So we may not do it unless, of course, a client says, I need it. And it's one of our partners that says, let's keep it together in one place. Then environmental waste is a big issue. We know that. It's a very big issue, but it's something that one of our partners who is not here today has been encouraging us to go into. And depending on how the things work out, we might entertain it, but I don't think it will be for this year. But those are the opportunity for extensions. One of them happening, this one, we are ready to go. The other two, if it's needed.
For a company that has multiple vendors, suppliers, and one thing that is typically common with vendors is they don't even understand what their emissions are. But they can supply activity data. I assume your solution will be able to calculate emissions based on some activity data that they can share. Okay, because that's one of the challenges I typically face. To the point that I have to calculate emissions on behalf of vendors sometimes.
Exactly how we're gonna strategically allow it to your customer side. Do you still want vendors to submit their own activity data and get the results themselves?
Actually, I don't mind if I keep that data for myself because I have to report it, right? I am okay, especially if it has cost implications, that they don't have that data. Because I think you were just talking about it. If my vendor submits activity data to me, but they are not interested in their GHG data, I don't necessarily have to give them.
However, if they are interested in it, it means that they are pretty much using my own tool to calculate and get data. And I'm not sure I want to give them, I'm not sure I want to pay for that service for them. If they are willing to pay me, fine. But what I want is emissions data. So if they don't have it, because what I do now is I actually calculate it for them. And somebody else pays me to calculate their emissions for them. And well, right now I don't share it with them. So even if I'm using a tool to help me do it faster, I don't want to share it with them. If they ask me for money, if they pay, say, okay, we'll do it.
Make your business and give it.
Make
the business out of it.
The simple answer is there will be multiple ways in which this is going to happen. There'll be the simple way of you have clients who probably enter their emissions and they will show evidence that the emissions was calculated and verified by a third party, and the evidence can be uploaded, everything is there. That's a simple way. There are those in which, for example, I think we're talking about using the purchase order directly and reading from there, from the product list.
Yeah, but he's talking about something different.
No, but what he's saying is that he's talking about emissions numbers.
No, he's talking about he doesn't trust the vendor. He wants to calculate them on his own.
No, that's what he said. It's part of, that's another angle. But what he's saying is that some vendors don't even know how to calculate it. But there is sending raw data. Can our system do the calculation?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that there are multiple ways in which these things will happen in our system.
Yeah.
Right? So the simple answer is yes. And the flexibility will allow this things to happen. And in some cases, you may even have cases like the banks, for example. They say we want to randomly check that the numbers that enter into the system is correct. We are looking at ways in which whether we can also be able to do that, So we know this is an area that's evolving rapidly, and the solution we're going to bring is also going to evolve.
Yeah, I liked the comment that the gentleman was having and the intervention of the lady. And I was just going to say, from my experience, I think you separate the ability of the platform to add value to the ecosystem from what's the commercialization model. Because I hear you saying if you do the calculations, you're not sure you want to, and I agree with you. Any platform that destroys commercial value in the value chain does not get adopted. It's my understanding of how technology improves a society. So I think and I hear you talk of people who have been able to, or Chidi talk of people who have been able to do a lot of their own empirical work, either certified by a third party and want to bring it into the system for use for whatever reason. So those entry points should be defined based on, and it comes with all the declaration of who's responsible for what. So I'm aware of the information I'm putting in. I'm confident of it from the following sources, because we also want a platform integrity. We don't want people to just put in whatever, that to them make whatever information on the platform unreliable. So each of those entry points of the different types of data set, in my understanding, as Chidi was explaining, the system will be able to handle that. I think we should first focus on getting that through, and then take on board what are the commercial interests of the different parties based on the value they bring in at that point.
In the room with us, we have two of your director colleagues, Dietz, who joined us much earlier in the morning, and then Patrick, who was going to join us in the morning, but I asked him to maybe come in the afternoon. And now you are joining us now. Chike would have wanted to be here physically, but is currently traveling and dialing in from Holland. For those of you who don't know him, Chike used to be, instead of active in SPE, so he used to be the SPE chairman here in Nigeria, and he used to be the CEO of Watersmith and worked for many, many years in Shell. So he's the same Chike I'm talking about.
So let me start with not only why I joined, but why I've stayed on. So the reason why I joined is when I was called or contacted, I looked at the constitution of the board and I saw very notable, respectable people on the board. I looked at the executive management with Chidi, Amudo, and MudoZangl, and I realized that these were people that I would like to associate with. So even without knowing the full details of what MudoZangl was doing, I realized that this was a company that would be properly corporately governed. And it's critical to understand, the reason why that corporate governance is very important for these kind of companies. I have spoken at a number of occasions about what I call family governance or founders governance, which tends to be the wrong way to approach how companies are managed. And when I look from the top and I see Mr. Egbert Imomo, I see Patrick, and all the other directors, including the executive management, I was very, very certain that we could continue to manage this company in the proper way. I then joined, and I realized that one of the critical things that I missed in my career in oil and gas, including, let me just point out that I went from pure upstream oil and gas to vertically integrating the upstream business, the midstream business, and the downstream business in Walter Smith, for which I was awarded in 2021 the Integrated Oil and Gas CEO by Business Day. So the journey that led me to that integration included a number of, the companies I'm seeing there. PwC was a partner with us in Walter Smith when we're building the modular refinery. And they were the ones that produced the feasibility study and also the financial model. Now, what I was lacking, and I saw a little bit of that in the refinery business, was a connect between the technical and commercial. And being able to look through as a CEO and see everything almost like on a dashboard, a snapshot, how the business was doing, not only from a technical basis, but financial and commercial as well. Now, there was no tool that actually provided that because we had tried all the, project planning tools, but each of them had a deficiency. So when I joined MudoZangl and had my first session with Georg, so when I first came in and had my first session with Georg, it became very apparent to me that this was a solution services company that understood what was missing in the oil and gas industry. And if you see the tools that I was introduced to, and which you've probably been introduced to now. Hello?
Yes, I tell you, no good.
Yeah, sorry, I keep getting interrupted. If you see the tools that I've been introduced to and which you're now being introduced to, you have the integrated planning tool, you have the integrated gas management tool, you have the financial management tool, and you have the carbon management tool. Now, you can think of them as tools, but I think of them as a complete end-to-end service where you can look at your business from different angles, especially if you are running an integrated business, or if you are a bank or some kind of consultancy firm that regularly has to do with clients that want to see the end-to-end business for themselves. So what MudoZangl has done is to be able to have these several services and integrate them in such a way that it delivers the best value to you. Now, they say that, if I'm going to preach, I'd better be someone that is a user. So MudoZangl, the moment I saw these tools, the first thing I did was I called Chidi and I said, please come and do a presentation to my company, because of course I run my own company, so that we can ditch all the other project planning tools we have and get on this platform. And that's the process that we are currently undergoing. The second thing that I did, because they say, sometimes again, put your money where your mouth is that I made a claim to Chidi and Olise to buy into the company itself. That's to show you how much interested I am in these solutions that they provide. So it's not all about talking and saying, I'm just on the board, I'm on the technical committee. It's something I have a real passion for. And I would urge that, people look critically at these services that are being proposed, and some of you are already using, to understand that you can manage the entire spectrum across, what you call the vertical integration, including looking at your financial models, looking at your carbon management, which is something that is really taking a form of its own. Not minding the fact that, there are, noises around the place that the transition has been delayed. It hasn't been, the transition has not ended. But you have to be responsible. You have to be, build a sustainable business. And I think people like PwC will tell you that if you go to run your own business and you're looking at funding parties, people who are going to finance your projects, one of the things they want to make sure about is your sustainability compliance. And a lot of that has to be, how do you manage the different scopes of emission that come out of your business? So they also look at your financial models, and they look at your technical capabilities, how well you're able to manage projects. And of course, in gas management as well, with gas as the transition fuel, as we call it. So MudoZangl has provided these solutions that are end-to-end. And in the not too distant future, I am very convinced that this industry will benefit immensely. And when I say the industry, oil and gas, banking, anybody that is involved in funding any oil and gas project or consulting on behalf of oil and gas companies, that MudoZangl will make a significant impact on how you integrate all the different aspects of the business in the industry that we are in. So you're very welcome. I'm sure that there are a lot of people I know that I wish I was there physically. I'm certain that I would look at some faces and maybe I can hear some names at the end who I will say, I know this guy. I've worked with this guy somewhere. We've done business together. Yeah. And that's the kind of networking that this opportunity provides as well. So what can I wish you? The very best of luck. Use the tools and the services and the solutions as, they are provided to you. And you will see the massive impact it will make to both those at a working level using the tool, those at a senior management level who will review some of the outcome coming from the tools, and those at the executive level who will take certain decisions based on, what the solutions provide to them. Good luck and God bless.
Thank you so much.
I'm thankful that I'm part of this journey, and I would take also the opportunity to thank all of you. You're our first customers. You are basically our early adopters. Thank you for all the trust in us. Believe me, we as the board, we are very committed, very focused. We try to make a big success story out of this, and keep a close eye on the management, on the team. And thank you also for your feedback you're giving us, and it's very valued. And thanks for coming today. Thanks.
Today we had our users forum, and we interacted closely with a lot of our clients on integrated planning, financial modeling, gas, carbon management, and integrated gas management. noobyia is a lovely platform, solution as a service, and I would encourage you to hop on and be part of us.
It is a dream come true. We've worked with them on the integrated gas management solution, and I must confess, it was a bespoke solution built from scratch to what it is today.
They've been very proactive in engaging us, trying to develop a solution that's customizable for us.
It's been a great experience, especially working with the IAP tool. I think the MudoZangl team is very good in actually seeking feedback and ensuring that we utilize the tool to the full extent.
I joined the company because of the focus of the company, which is leveraging technology to provide value-added solutions to the oil and gas industry. In the oil and gas industry, MudoZangl is the company to deal with for your integrated planning, for integrated gas management, for carbon management and reporting.
Right now, we're talking integration, which is what we need, because the industry really needs the level of efficiency that's actually required, to keep our business as profitable as we can make it.
I came to Nigeria to our first user forum to meet our clients and also our future clients. I mean, this was an amazing day, full of energy, full of positive feedback we got from them. The users are going home with the same feeling.